I attract abusive partners. Why? And how do I heal that? I think that was one of the biggest sentences that came to me in my healing and sensual embodiment journey when I was first beginning. Let me start off by saying this. Why do we attract, as women, abusive partners when we're beautiful, good people, when we're loving, when we're here? Number one biggest cause is we have a mother wound. As women, we are not just ourselves. We are multi-generational biological supercomputers that are carrying genetic DNA passed down generations. This perception changed my life forever when I was healing all of my guilt, all of my shame, all of my self rejection, all of my mistrust that I felt in myself for having abusive partners for over a decade of my life. And here's how it goes. When your grandmother was pregnant with your mom, inside your mom as a fetus, woman, we have all of our eggs. So when men are producing sperm every single day, women, we have all of our eggs inside our bodies when we are a fetus inside our moms. What does this mean? This means that your X chromosome or Y chromosome, your little baby cells were inside your mama when she was inside her mama. How does this influence us on a genetic level? When we look at epigenetics or DNA transfers, what we're saying is that there is a multi-generational energetic transfer of energy through the DNA of bodies, starting from grandmother to mother to daughter in one body during pregnancy for women. We carry the weight of our ancestors inside our DNA before we're even a twinkle in the eye. So, as a woman, if you are manifesting or attracting in abusive partners, I want you to start by looking at the lineage of women before you. 9 times out of 10, it has come down the timeline of the woman in your life, and it is now in you, not because you're a victim, but because you are the soul that was strong enough and powerful enough to choose to break that pattern in your family and to mend the heart. When I started my healing journey of manifesting the love of my life and releasing all of that abuse, I realized that I was the link in my generation from all of the abuse that the woman had gone through and bringing in life and love for all of the women who were going to come. And it came through me and my portal. So you start by recognizing that there is a deep power in your womb and in your body as a woman that is here to alchemize and heal. It's not you. It's not about you. It's about the fact that your soul has a bigger purpose in this life that is wanting to heal on a biological level through your body for the generations to come. We have to start as women by getting out of our way of always blaming ourselves, of always being the victim, of always disempowering ourselves, of always mistrusting ourselves, and begin to recognize that you are here to be the breaker of chains and the mender of hearts. You are a multi-generational alchemical healer in your body. So when you start to understand why you're attracting in abusive relationships, snap out of it and realize, hey, this is a pattern that's moving through my family and a wounding inside me that I'm magnetizing in. I'm not going to be the victim anymore. I'm here to shift that. Step number 2 is understanding that you are not responsible for healing the men in your life. Big mental shift. Most of us women who get into abusive relationships, we fall into the wounded healer role. My love is going to change him. I'm going to heal him. He gets better when he's with me. Yeah, he probably does. But your number one responsibility for healing is yourself and the generations that are coming through you. You are not responsible for healing the men in this world. You're here and responsible for healing the generations before you and after you through you. So, as women, what we need to start to shift in our mindset, because we love to heal, we love to hold responsibility, we love to feel we are of service. The heart of the feminine is devotion. But you need to shift your perception of what you're devoting to. We are not here to devote to healing the wounded masculine who's wounding us further. We are here to devote to healing the generational timelines for the lineage of energy that's going to come through us. Whether we have a child or not is neither here nor there. It is the energy that moves through our heart and our body into this world. Because whether you become a mom or not, you are going to fill a mothering role in this life just by nature of being a woman. We carry the frequency of love. We carry the frequency of giving. We carry the frequency of nurturing, of teaching. Our world looks at us as women. The world looks at us as women in those eyes. So when you as a woman take on your divine responsibility, but it's rather than trying to heal a wounded man, it's healing a generational lineage of energy to show that love and truth and devotion to self is the ultimate healer. You begin to release yourself of the limiting belief that you are the healer for that man. You're not, and he's not your responsibility. He has his own power. He has his own responsibility. That's his journey, and your responsibility is healing what's flowing through you. A third thing to understand when we are continually attracting in abusive relationships is that the feminine heart is a little bit like, think of it like a yoni, your womb space. It gets penetrated. And your heart is a depth, a woman's heart has a depth that is so untapped, but it is tapped to the depth of the masculine that is penetrated into it. Meaning that our heart molds and believes and forms truth to the depth of the masculine that has penetrated our heart space. If the masculine in your life, when you were a child, or in your relationships, or with your friend groups, or with your brothers, or with the patriarchy of our current society, is entering your heart at a certain level, that's what you're going to believe you're worthy of receiving. So do a stock take. What is the masculine actually penetrating into my heart? Usually we're going to find it's pretty shallow. It's not as deep as we want. It's not as wonderful as we really want to express and feel. Now, before you go into judging and hardening your heart, that's when you begin to humble and soften and devote your heart. But what do you soften and humble and devote your heart to? For me and as women, we are spiritual beings. You begin to allow life to be your lover. You begin to build self-trust in your body and in your soul by being the love of your life and letting life be your lover. You stop believing that these abusive men are the ones that are going to provide for you and care for you. And you start to embody a self-trust in your system that allows you to say yes without fear and no without guilt. You somatically rewire and hardwire your body through your energy, through your boundaries, through your truth, through your awakening in your central nervous system, in your subconscious brain, in your thought patterns, in your lifestyle, that allow you to receive the depth of the masculine that your heart is yearning for. And that is a methodology and a practice that you move through that is somatic, through the body, that is mental, that is emotional, and that is spiritual. But as you go through that journey, what you uncover and what you manifest in for yourself is that the abuse that you once attracted shifts because you have a divine responsibility and light that is penetrating your heart that is bigger than what you believed was true. And that's where you really begin to come into self-trust. 9 times out of 10 as women, we're with abusers because we don't truly trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves because there's something in us that's with them. We don't trust ourselves because we don't know who we'd be without them. We don't trust ourselves because we are in this situation and we've been in this for maybe years. We don't trust ourselves because maybe we were born into a family where this has always been the case. So there's no trust. And everything in our life has a perception of, I cannot trust. I cannot trust. So you're magnetizing it in untrustworthy, unsafe relationships, circumstances, experiences. But this is where the power of sensual embodiment basically comes in and shifts that. Because what you're doing when you come into embodying your sensual energy as a woman is you're reinstalling trust into your central nervous system, into your mind, and into your body. You are energetically cord cutting. You are somatically tapping and healing your system. You are letting life become your lover. You are realizing that as a human being, you have a potentiality that is untapped that you get to allow yourself to tap into. And as you tap into that, all of the abuses fall away. And I can say this from my life. When I started my journey, I was shocked. The men and the masculine that were in my life were the worst. I had beaters, I had cheaters, I had been sexually assaulted multiple times. I had been raped once where I'd fallen pregnant and lost a child through that pregnancy. I had the worst level of trauma in my body. I had a mother wound that was so deep in my womb and my heart that I was infertile. I was so damaged, so broken by life, by my victimhood, by my journey, even though I seemingly had a good life. Inside, I was shattered, and that was what I magnetized in time and time again. Shallow relationships, shallow connections, abusers, violent love, dominating love, no freedom, suffocated. As I began to come back home to my body, as I began to heal my mother wound, as I began to release the timelines of energy, as I began to purify my vessel, as I began to feel God or source or life enter my body with my breath, with energy, with sex practices, as I began to connect deeply into my womb space, my bleed, my blood, the divinity of my yoni, as I began to cord cut and energetically release and shamanic shake and go into these crazy practices and build a method into my body, into my life, I transformed every single block. And ultimately, at the end of that journey, I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with life. And I manifested the love of my life in my life partner now, who I'm with. I healed generational timelines. I shifted limiting beliefs I thought I never would be able to. And I'm able now to live a life of trust, of deep forgiveness, of compassion. And I'm able to, every time a trigger comes up inside me, heal and come back to a place of love. So if you are in that place where I was, or so many of us women are, where we are manifesting abusers, there's a bigger reason for why it's happening. And there's also a method and a way forward to begin to shift that somatically and release it out of your system so that you can live a life of trust and freedom and love and devotion to the right people, to the right energies, and most importantly, in yourself, for yourself, so that you can be a light and a devotion for this world, so that you can be a healer by nature rather than a destructive force by nature, so that you can soften into your femininity, into your heart, and heal from that place of love.